Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good evening. Welcome to a drama-free stream tonight. I know there's drama going on all over the internet. Every live stream I've seen today pretty much has had its dose of drama. It's all Star Wars related in a galaxy far, far away, and we're not going anywhere near there. We are going just a few thousand miles away to Whitechapel, to be specific, and we are going to talk with the artist on this new series that is just getting ready to launch. Hello, Peter Gilmore. Welcome.
Hello. I was just pouring myself a nice little drinky.
Oh, I'm onto the water right now, but
right. Well, it's 1 a.m. here, so I'm on the vodka and cranberry for some reason. That's all I've got in.
That sounds delicious. Actually, I love cranberry.
It's got a weird name. It's got a cocktail kind of name, and I can't remember what it is.
I almost Twitter cited you tonight because we were waiting for the show to start, and you had dropped me a DM, courtesy notice that, and I'm not revealing DMs. I don't drop DMs. You send me something DM, it's in private. That's fine. And you said, hey, I'll be there in a few minutes, and then after that you said that Mandy's a real ball buster, and that will always stay between.
No, I did not say that. She's not here anyway. I know she's getting ready for something else. So.
I know, and she would know I was joking too, I think. But I tried to put the little thumbs up thing next to it that said, hey, I saw your thing. And my mouse has been all day clicking just to the right of everything I want to click. So instead of clicking the thumbs up, I clicked the triple dots, the ellipsis, and it was like just it was about to report the tweet. I'm like, what are you doing? This is not what I want to do.
Yeah, I don't worry about it. I like moderating for YouTube chats. The number of times I've almost timed people out and banned them, and don't worry. Don't worry.
So I just, I beat the mouse a few times, and it seems to get the things back in order. Chat's already active. Hail, Robert Roberts. Glad to see you here. James Lee, missed you last night, but if you watched the live stream, I'm sure you were happy you were not part of it. It was a real fecal cinema. That was
dear.
It devolved. But
yeah, I avoid all that kind of stuff. I try to.
I try to as well, but when it's open mic, sometimes you never know what's going to happen. You just got to really stay on top.
Yeah, I could never do an open mic, not run one anyway. Wow, it is brave. It's very brave, especially if you're going to do like true open mic and just let anybody.
Oh yeah, well I just put the StreamYard link right there at the top of the chat and locked it in. And said,
there you
want
go.
To come in? Click it. Here it is. It's open completely.
Wow.
So you are working on yet another book. You and Mandy are working on this one. Mandy Summers, for anybody who's not familiar.
Yeah.
So this is a long-running collaboration you and she are working on because you're putting out some quality books.
Yeah, we've been working together for what, 2 years now, maybe? Something like that. It's got to be round about that. I'll do 2 books with Mandy, 1 with Wyatt. That's Wyatt Holiday for anyone watching. Yeah, it works well. Keep an overlap. I've got a nice overlap of books, so I can sort of be working on one, and then as the next book's coming up, I'll do Monday to Friday on the main book, and then at the weekends I'll do a few bits and pieces on the upcoming one. Because you've got to have those 5 or 6 pages done ready for the crowdfunder.
Oh, sure.
Because people need to see the artwork.
So when are you going to launch this one? And by the way, what we're launching is Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter.
Yeah. Which I am still surprised isn't a thing, isn't a comic already or a movie, and it's not. It surprised me. There was, I did Google it, and there was a Reddit thread from about 8 years ago.
Oh, well then, yeah, then they'll claim that you stole it then.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Now that you've acknowledged
probably.
it existed.
Yeah,
That's like the people who drew a Tumblr art like 10 years ago of, hey, look, it's not Rainbow Bright, it's Rainbow Brute. And now
I remember that, yeah. Every idea has been had already, I think.
it has. I had a conversation with Neil Gaiman 20 years ago. I had the opportunity to do a phone interview, and God bless him, I kept him on for 45 minutes. His ear must have been ready to fall off. But we talked about, the what was it now? The Harry Potter similarities to Tim Hunter.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it was, the whole, and he was like, it's not like it's the first bespectacled kid who's been told he has magical opportunities. It goes all the way back to T.H. White. It goes back to a bunch of other things. It's like everybody's had these ideas before, and they all come up around the same time. If you don't jump on it, somebody else will. And you jumped on this one.
Well, exactly, yeah. We weren't going to announce anything. It was going to be kind of a background project just to work on, and then one day just go, look, we've got this. But I just got, as the days went by, I got more and more paranoid that somebody else would drop on the idea. And then somebody did announce something kind of similar-ish, and I was like, no, right, we're announcing this now. Let's go show the artwork.
James Lee is in the chat saying that there's such a stigma with Jack the Ripper. I guess that I don't know that keeps anybody from using him, though. I mean, I see him, he was in all kinds of different movies. Time After Time, wasn't that a Jack the Ripper?
Yeah, that was the time traveling one. Yeah. There's been a whole bunch. There's been TV shows, movies, songs. He's been in comics as well before, There was,
he was. He was. If you saw Gotham by Gaslight. Yeah,
and From Hell, like years ago.
Oh yeah, now From Hell, I read that one, and that was a rabbit hole of a comic book.
Yeah,
my mind just kept going further and further down into that, and I was like, I have no idea why no one will help the widow's son, Alan, but please explain this to me.
Yeah, and we try and forget about the movie.
Did they make a movie from? They did make a movie from
Johnny Depp. Yeah, wasn't it Johnny Depp?
I should. Am I allowed to watch Johnny Depp movies right now, or?
Yes.
Okay.
We're allowed to watch Johnny Depp. We can't watch anything Disney make, or Amber Heard, or I don't know. To be honest, every time recently, because obviously while I'm working, I have stuff on in the background. I'll put a movie on or a TV show, something I've seen before usually, so it doesn't distract me. But every now and then, so I'll put things on and I'll tweet out, oh, I've just rewatched such and such, great movie. Guarantee there's 10 people saying, oh, but this person's in it. But we don't like this person. I don't care. I really don't care.
I like the movie.
Yeah, it's a great, yeah.
If I had to treat my comic purchases the way that people, want me to, like, you can't buy anything with this person or that person, and I just went across the board and took everybody's opinion, I'd have no comics. I wouldn't be able to read anything or watch.
Oh, this is true. Yeah. Even things like Comicsgate. There's ask one person, and oh yeah, this person's fine. Ask someone else. Oh no, that person's a dick. Yeah.
What's even worse is if they just see you talking with them. I can't believe you talked with that person. You're associating with a person who associates with this, who associated with that.
Yeah.
Wyatt himself is in the chat right now too. Wyatt, good to see you here, man. I still got to get your address, man. I've got this book in a returned envelope that it's yours. I can't reuse it. I've signed your name in it and everything, so I've got to get it someday somehow. Wyatt helped me with PDF formatting on our last anthology.
He does that. He does that for people.
So, it's great help on that one.
Actually, I shouldn't say that because he's going to get inundated. Then he'll kill me. Yes. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do it at all.
He does not do it at all.
I've never done it before.
Yeah, I pissed him off doing it, and he's like, leave me alone, never call me again.
Yeah.
So when did you guys? When did you come up with the idea for Jack the Ripper to be a vampire hunter, and how did it come about? I mean, was it like a brainstorming session or just something happened in a chat?
No, it was. This is going to sound slightly egotistical, but it's not meant this way. I'm a huge fan of Bernie Wrightson, and
nothing wrong with that.
Massive, and his Frankenstein, the pages he did for the illustrated Frankenstein, and that Frankenstein Alive series, fantastic. So I've always wanted to do something like that. So that's not me being egotistical and saying I could draw like Bernie Wrightson, because I can't. Nobody can, So I was looking at like horror things, and one of the first idea I had was like the true story of the Frankenstein monster, which is, well, I say true, it's folklore, it's like old German folklore about a creature that lived up by the castle. He lived in a cave, and he like coaxed children into the woods and play, because he was simple in the head. He'd play with them, and they'd have fun and games. And when he got bored, he'd take them back to his cave and boil them alive and eat them.
They trusted him by then.
This is, but if you Google, Frankenstein, the true story, or whatever, you'll get all that. Yeah, crazy, like 14th century Germany or something. So yeah, I was looking at that, and then I found one. Well, I kind of remembered it from when I was a kid. Over here, between the 60s and the 80s, there was a thing that went on in London, Highgate Cemetery in London, called the Highgate Vampire. And it was on the news, it was in newspapers. People legitimately went out hunting for it. So yeah, I kind of got into that, and I was like, yeah, I could do this. So I researched Highgate Cemetery, and it's like looking back through the history of it. First person to be buried there was this woman, Elizabeth Jackson. Couldn't find any more information about it. There's a gravestone, that's it. It says where she was born, when she died, which is weird for the first person to be buried there, just to be a nobody, kind of.
Sure.
Because the law is that when whoever gets buried first in a graveyard, their spirit protects the graveyard.
Oh.
Yeah. I tell you, I found out so much stuff through doing this. So I was Googling her, trying to find out stuff, and she kept turning up as a potential victim of Jack the Ripper. Oh. So my mind put 2 and 2 together and got 5. It's like, wow, she was alive in 1830 something, because she died. Well, she died 1839, and then she died again in 1888. So how come she's in 2 places? She was a vampire. And then from there it came Jack the Ripper was the vampire hunter. So that's what. Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of how it came about.
So Jack's getting a bad rap. He's being blamed for all these killings that they're too late to stop. Or is he
no, they are the vampires. Yeah, the victims are the vampires. So we've got Victorian foggy London vampires and buxom vampire prostitutes. I can't go too much into that side, because that's Mandy's domain, and I am not revealing. All we've shown off so far is like the prologue section of the book, okay, which is what you can see behind me actually. Part of it. It's the kind of the first death of this Elizabeth Jackson person.
Okay. So noted that buxom vampire prostitutes are Mandy's domain. She's in charge of those.
She is, and also stake wielding serial killers, I suppose.
True. Now,
yeah,
Jack the Ripper is like one of the most researched / theorized / conspiratorial stories that's out there. Did you get bogged down in any of that, or is it already, is this something?
I kind of knew bits and pieces of it, but I didn't want to. Jack in our book wears a mask all the time. He's got. In fact, I should probably share an image.
Share pages.
Although,
whatever
to be honest, I have not really I've drawn him a couple of times. I know what he looks like in my head, and I'm working him out, gradually working him out, refining him, shall we say.
And by the way, folks, if you are interested in this at all before it launches, the link to the launch page is right down there in the description. You can sign up for the newsletter. Guarantee you're going to want to sign up for the newsletter because you always get something extra special cool if you're one of the newsletter signups, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're kind of working all this stuff out at the moment. It's because obviously we're still running in demand. We've still got Walk the Wizard. I'm just finishing off the last couple of pages of that. Mandy's fulfilling Pirate Queen.
Then I'm going to be receiving my copy of Pirate Queen soon. I will be looking for that. Mike Walters in the chat says hi to both of us. Glad to see you here, Mike. Wyatt says he's listening, but he's driving at the moment. So, eyes front, Wyatt. Keep him on the road there.
Right.
Shiny side up.
Let me share. Share screen. Too many things to click. StreamYard. Just have one button that says share. Yeah.
Drag and drop screen here.
Yeah, I mean that. To be honest, that's what I do now. I just share a Chrome tab and then just drag images into that Chrome tab instead of like resharing stuff, messing about. So
I do the same thing. I share my other monitor and then I just drag everything over to the monitor.
This is I was talking about how Jack wears a mask.
Nice. So it's kind of like a hockey mask, actually.
It's made of leather. It's like white leather, which is white leather probably isn't the greatest choice, but it looks badass. It's a black and white book, so having that kind of skull-like ghostly face. I think it's cool.
Now
that was kind of one of the images I drew. This one takes a little while. This is just pencils, messing about with pencils. Oh Lord, load, my word. High res images.
Absolutely.
So,
now, by the way, this is not Jack the Ripper versus Dracula, unless you're going to have a second book that follows up.
This is not. No. Dracula would be too obvious. I think as soon as you start doing things like that, then I don't know. You creep into the League of Extraordinary Monsters.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was that your vampire on that last page there, striking resemblance. Don't know if it was intentional or just happenstance to Count Orlok from Nosferatu, which
100% correct, sir. I'd love that kind of look with the two central teeth.
Yes,
it always creeped me out as a kid. And
have you ever seen Shadow of the Vampire?
Very possibly. I should imagine so.
It's a movie. Yeah, it's a movie about the making of the movie.
I know what you mean now. Yes.
Yeah. And the whole MacGuffin was that the actor who played that Max Schreck, who played Count Orlok, was a real vampire, and there were people dying on the set while they were making the film.
I remember it. I remember it now. Yes, I do. I do remember that. Is that the one with? Oh no, they did a remake later, didn't they? With names escape me. Good God, no, it's gone. It's gone. People, if you're listening, you can Google it. Google Nosferatu remake, and you'll be like, Pete, how did you not know that dude's name?
You've got some fans here. You got some fans here who've been with you since you first started working with Tug on his first comic, and apparently you are creating the logo for James.
I am indeed. Yeah.
Goddess.
This is like a chat earlier on. Yeah.
Everybody's all here.
The gang's all here, apart from Mandy. She's probably hiding and listening.
Yeah, she's got better things to do.
So she can shout at me later for getting things wrong. But
that is a lot of detail in that city.
This was a fun page to do.
yeah. It sounds like you're saying fun with quotes around it there. I mean,
are there
it was tricks to this.
It's kind of. I mean, if you look really close, I mean, obviously, the comic page, you're never going to see that close up. But if you look, hang on, let me zoom out and then use that magic Windows clicker thing. There we go. Zoom in really close. It's more shapes and impressions of rooftops and things like that. So they're not and then you just stick in the odd detail here and there, or like do a more defined rooftop somewhere, or stick in a couple. I mean, of course, this is kind of a lot of this was. Let me just zoom back out. A lot of this was kind of destroyed during the Second World War. So all these, as you can see on the right-hand side, there's this kind of almost Middle Eastern kind of spire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff all mostly gone.
So you were working off old photo references then?
Well, yeah, there's only like maybe four photo references. And if we zoom in right at the bottom, you can see this guy on the horse and cart starts his journey.
Sure enough.
Right down in the bottom corner, teeny tiny. Most people viewing the page probably won't even notice that, but he starts and she steps out into the road and oopsie, nearly gets hit. Yeah, so to do the view of London from that angle, there's like 4 or 5 photos that exist from back then, and they're all at different angles and from different vantage points pointing in different directions. So I kind of had to amalgamate them.
Yeah.
And
now, how do you
mentally change the angle and draw the buildings the correct way?
I'm curious how you get the rain effect on this. I mean, I would know if it were like scratchboard, but this is comic books. This is Bristol board. You've got this black inked sky, a solid black inked sky back there, and then you get the white streaks of.
It's just using white. It's completely cheating and using white. I mean, you could work it all out and then just fill the black around the edge. But
why would you do that? That would be crazy.
Well, to be honest, I did that with Super Dead. One of the things from Super Dead, it was raining. Don't know if you remember the image where Devour and Omega Atlas are like falling from a bell tower which has been split apart in the sky, and it's raining and there's shadows and all kinds of effects going on. There was no whiteout with that. I just kind of drew around the edges of the rain and
yeah,
learned my lesson the hard way.
The border of a streak of rain is like nil. You just.
Yeah. Oh, I know it takes a lot. It takes a long time to do. I mean, I've done. I mean, this. If we go to me, if you go to me for a second, this is just going to lie. Can I? Oh,
see, I jumped. My mouse jumped. I tried to hit the big screen, and
you see that's not white. That's all just ink, black ink on white paper. So, those raindrops aren't as fine as the other ones.
So he's the I'm gonna guess he's the pimp.
Yeah. Now you're saying there's footage of London from 1910. There's all that kind of stuff, but there's no aerial views or like really high up views, which is what I was looking for. So you kind of have to. And then there's another one. I don't think anyone's seen this.
Gorgeous.
Well, I think I've shown it off on live stream, but I don't think I've actually shared the.
That's a full page panel. That is going to just.
Yeah. We do like a splash page of it, and it's kind of. I started drawing it, and I was like, "This is like a trope. Everyone draws this image, crawling out of a grave sort of thing." And I did it for the cover of Super Dead.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, do you know what? It's used often for a reason, so screw it.
That's right.
Use it.
I mean, if she's died, she's gone into the grave. You got to get her out somehow.
Exactly. I mean, we didn't have to, but because this is the prologue, it could just skip forwards. Skip forwards to she's it's 50 years later or whatever. But
so how big are you expecting this book to be? I mean, I'm assuming this is a one shot. Jack the Ripper's adventures were finite.
Well, to be honest, it could keep going. It could keep going. I'm not going to say too much about that yet. It has been thought of, a reason how it could, a way it could keep going. And let's face it, it's not historically accurate because,
of course,
because no vampires and he wasn't a vampire killer. But yeah, no, we there's ways around that. There's ways to do it. And obviously, with it being initially, I mean, this is the guy over on this side. There you go. That's the Vampire of Highgate, or the initial one. So, I mean, that the legend of the Highgate Vampire is from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So, you know, it can be worked out so that things go on.
Did they ever solve that little mystery of the Highgate Vampire?
No. There was one crazy dude who was a vampire hunter, and he just apparently became a bit of a menace. Menace to society, sort of like stalking graveyards, and he'd have like a little kind of plastic bag from the grocery store, and in that he'd carry like apparently his crucifix was 2 sticks tied together with string, and he'd have like stakes and stuff in there, and the police kind of laughed at him at first, and I think he ended up getting arrested or whatever, because you can't have a guy running around in the middle of the night with sharp objects
Trying to stake people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, you know, I'm assuming they'll take sharp wooden stakes away from you over there now. I mean, they took all your knives. So
this is true, but this was when this guy was kicking around. It was like the 70s, so didn't really count back then. I mean, I was a kid in the 70s. I was a little kid, and we went around with knives and, you know, slingshots, and I bought a crossbow one week. Went into town with my friend. Came back with a crossbow. Mother went crazy. It was fun.
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do with a crossbow? Run into the forest with your merry men and hunt for the sheriff?
To be honest, where I lived as a child, there was a big hill by the side of it, and then there was a valley, and the valley was all wooded, and then there was a cave system in there as well. So we used to go up into the woods and play in the caves, and really dangerous. I mean, I'd never let my kid go and play there in a million years. But you know, because it rains in England. It rains in England a lot, and it was prone to flash flooding. We didn't know. We didn't care. Screw it. We had plans of waiting till it flash flooded and then getting a raft and just sailing through the caves. No.
Yeah, like Marshall, Will, and Holly, and end up in the land of the lost, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was, and I didn't realize as a child, but later on I found out these caves we used to play in, it's like 13 miles worth of caves. So we could have got lost quite easily and never gotten out again. You don't care when you're a kid. Who cares?
You know, it's an adventure. It's all adventure.
Exactly.
So there's one birthday where you blow out the candles and all the adventure gets sucked out of you when the smoke clears.
This is it. Yeah. Well, to be honest, it's usually when you have to get a job and be a grown up and all
I know.
that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, some people don't. Looking at Twitter and the way people act on Twitter, don't. Some people do not grow up.
This is some of your most highly detailed work that I've ever seen you do. So
it is. This is
a labor of love. You could tell it.
Yeah. I mean, I used to draw stuff like this all the time, but it wasn't. It's hard to explain. It wasn't as comic-y. It was more illustration. So I kind of had a crash course in learning to draw in an American comic style, doing Super Dead. Mandy drummed that into me. I'd send her a page and she'd be like, "No," and say, do this, and I'll go, "Okay."
Less Brian
Which is fine.
More George Perez.
Yeah. Well, it was always more that kind of thing, which I didn't mind because it made me get better and better. So yeah, we've got this particular image is back in the day in ye olde London. Whenever someone was murdered or there was a death, they'd have a coroner's jury, which was they'd find people on the street, pay them a few pennies, and say, "Come and be a juror in this case," and they'd file them all into the coroner's department. And they'd just look at the body and go, "Oh, yeah, looks like murder to me," or "Oh no, it doesn't look like it to me," and they get a consensus.
What a way to investigate!
And quite often, your surgeon or whatever, like the fat guy in the middle gesturing with his hand, that's well, not fat, but you know, that's how your coroner would dress it. He'd be a butcher by day, and you know, a coroner by night. Much fun.
He's already got the bloody apron, so why not?
Exactly.
I imagine if you're paying the jurors, you probably just had some guy wandering around in the crowd throwing out a few more pennies, like, it looks natural. It looks natural. It looks natural.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And plus, to be honest, these people were clueless. It's like, does it look like murder to you? I don't know.
She's got 2 holes in her throat. I
Maybe.
think we know what killed her.
Yeah. I wait till the dialogue goes on and they pass that off and go, oh, just rats. The rats have got nothing.
So how many pages do you think we're going to see of story in this? I mean, this is.
We are shooting for 48 in the first one.
In the first one. So is that like a closed adventure, or are you looking at a story arc?
Yeah. Well, it's like Super Dead is a standalone adventure, but there's a little bit at the end where it's like, aha, but this might happen now. Well, this is, there'll be a little thing at the end, but it won't be like a cliffhanger or something where you're like, I need to know. It won't be a cut off in the story. You know what I mean? You'll be able to read just this and be satisfied with just this.
I can handle that as long as it's got that tease that there's something else that might come. Those are okay. It's when the hero's falling off a cliff, or when the red rooster is walking off into the distance, you're like, wait, this is not over yet. I'm not done. Comics Mate, welcome to the chat. We are talking about Jack the Ripper, Vampire Hunter, from Mandy and Peter here. And do you have a launch date for this? I don't know how long you had the newsletter up.
We've only had the mailing list for a week and a bit now, I think. Well, we've got I think just over 250 people on it so far. So
yeah, I've got the screen pulled up. I was going to share it, but I'm like, there's nothing to really share. Sometimes I show people how to put their address in, but it won't let me because I've already done it.
Yeah, it's a page with some of Indiegogo's awesomely cropped artwork, because it does that. Even if you make the images, I've done this twice now for these pre-launch pages. Well, 3 times actually. And I've gone in and I've loaded their page and I've got the measurements of the images that they use, where they cropped, got it all perfect. They still get cropped to hell, and I don't understand. Indiegogo need to sort that out, but it's only a teaser though, isn't it? The pre-launch page. So anyone who follows my Twitter will see all this stuff and all this goodness.
Of course. Now, is there what's the advantage that you guys have put together for signing up for the mailing list? I mean, there's usually something that's an enticement.
We haven't decided yet. We're trying to decide whether to do a trading card or what. Figuring out what people. I mean, we usually do trading cards, but the market changes and what people want changes so much. But whatever it is, there'll be some damn cool artwork on it. So it's going to be something good. Yeah,
and obviously it's going to be black and white. So does that speed up the process, since you don't have to get things colorized?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, it's black and white, but you're also using gray tones, grayscale in it. So you're basically still coloring it, but just with gray shades of gray.
Is that any more difficult? I mean, I'm just from the crafting perspective. I don't know. So
I mean, not much. It's a bit quicker. It's a bit quicker doing black and white than it is doing color.
Yeah, when you got the grayscale going with it.
But I mean, well, what I'll just do anyway is I draw it, I ink it as though it's not going to get any extra help from grays or whatever, and then I'll just throw the grays on just to push things back a bit in the background, or like this gravestone here on this panel, gravestone on the wall. Throw some grays in there, throw some grays on the front, the highlights at the front as well, so that just the guy's face there. That's what I want people looking at. Push everything back.
Yeah, so it looks like Count Orlok here, and I know that's not his real name. I'm just point. Looked like he's getting ready to set himself up as a pimp over a bunch of vampire hookers.
You'll have to read to find out.
You'll have to read to find out.
Yeah.
Because
strict orders not to divulge. Because I'm terrible. As soon as I finish drawing the page, I'll be like, I want to show it to everyone. And it's like, no, you can't. Which is true. You can't go around showing everything.
Well,
But
it's absolutely gorgeous stuff. Are
Yeah.
there any? Who is your? This is going to sound like an odd question, but even though the title is Jack the Ripper, Vampire Hunter, that doesn't necessarily mean that Jack is your main character. I mean, is Jack your protagonist, or do you have sort of like a police detective who's chasing down who's murdering these prostitutes and not knowing it's a vampire? Or are there other characters that you can talk about that are
that might be revealing too much.
Okay. That's what I hate about doing these. When they're in pre-launch.
I know.
About it.
I know. I mean, I could talk all day about the inspiration for it. I could talk about the artwork. I could talk about the prologue section, but the main story. Ooh. Yeah, if I talk too much about that, I'll get beaten. Although she lives thousands of miles away from me, so I'll get virtually beaten.
You'll get
with a big stick.
you'll get like several different DMs of a big stick being thrown at you.
Yeah.
So it's an e-beating.
Yeah. She is the boss.
So how long do you think it'll be before you do launch, though? Then I mean, I think maybe I've already asked that, but I'm not remembering it.
You did, and then I got sidetracked about something else. So Mandy's she's got to finish the fulfillment on Pirate Queen.
Yeah.
And then as far as I know from what she said last time as soon as that is in Becca's hands, then we'll launch this. And then while this is launching, Walk the Wizard will be fulfilling. So while this is funding, Walk the Wizard gets fulfilled. And then that's kind of the plan. Although the thing after this,
what's the thing after this?
We've kind of mentioned. We kind of. Well, me and Wyatt have talked about it. It's the next Rocket Girl.
Cool.
So, yeah. I don't know if he's still in the. Is he? I'm here to tell you can't make an IGG pre-launch page look good no matter what you do. Correct, Wyatt. Correct.
So another Rocket Gal. Yeah.
I've got this. I've got my system worked out now. We've been doing it for
Wyatt says he is here.
Yeah, I've been doing the crowdfunding, drawing the crowdfunding comic for 3 years now. We've been crowdfunding comics, so I've got the timetable worked out. I've got the schedule worked out. So yeah, I'll stick to that kind of 5 days a week on the main book, 2 days a week on the no rest, no days off.
No rest for the wicked.
To be honest, I do try and take days off, but I always end up just sitting drawing stuff instead.
Well, that's the thing. You like drawing. That's why you do it. And
exactly. Yeah.
There's the old saying, if do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. So why would you want to take a day off from doing the thing you really love doing?
This is it. There you go. Rocket Gal and the Voyagers from the Void is the next Rocket Gal book. Yeah. We did drop a little teaser on Twitter. So just showing the new logo off, which is the same as the last logo, but now it's a different color and it says Voyagers from the Void.
So you've worked together with the same people.
Yeah.
And you've got sequential titles coming. That's officially a team. In my book.
Kind of.
Are you going to put ever a trade dress or a branding? I mean, what are you going to call this? Like DC and Marvel have, their little upper corner. We have a company. We have a brand for our books. Have you guys ever talked about what you would put over this as an overarching house brand for all your titles?
We've never talked about it. I mean, there's the stuff I do with Mandy's under Stuntman Comics. And the stuff I do with Wyatt is under me and Wyatt.
Yep.
Well, we should do something, but we'd have to.
Mike Walters is asking if we've ever heard of a comic strip called Hawks of the Sea. I've heard kind of it. Is that I don't know if that's a vampire story or what, or just
have I heard of that? It doesn't sound familiar to me, but maybe it is. There's so much pop culture has gone into this brain over.
I think it's a very golden age series too. I don't think it's I think it was a British series that got reprinted over here in America with the Golden Age comics. I think that's what it was, if I'm remembering correctly.
Right.
And I remember this from Mike's own YouTube channel, The Mike Stand, where he goes over these Golden Age books all the time here.
Yeah, I mean, people ask me stuff like this. You know, do you remember such and such? Have you heard of blah? And I'm like, no, not a clue. And then they tell me what it is. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that is.
well, this one you'd had to have been really old for. You know, I was listening to it used to be Captain Cockney Spock, and now it's Captain Hipster Spock. He's got a YouTube channel. And
right.
Bunch of UK folk, and they were talking about the British comic books. You didn't have superheroes when you know, because it wasn't really a big thing, I guess, during.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was quite hard to find like American comics, like American superhero comics. We'd get in this kind of, I don't know, towards the tail end of the 70s, maybe. I can't remember exactly. We got like reprints. We got these like oversized reprints. So you get like a whole Spider-Man run in one, you know.
Yeah.
Or whatever. We get those. But mostly our stuff was like Dan Dare and you know, well, obviously 2000 AD and things
2000
like
is a big one. You had what Robot Archie, I think is one.
All kinds of bizarre things. A lot of our comics were kind of there was like comics like the Vino and the Dandy, and they were more like more cartoony, like more like a Sunday comic strip in a newspaper.
You did have Marvel more like Man, though.
Had who?
Marvel Man.
Did we?
I thought you had Marvel Man, and it was rebranded over here as Miracle Man, and that's the one that nobody knows who owns it or didn't know for a long time.
Exactly. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Because
the only way I could find like American comics was just by pure luck. The first ones I ever got my hands on, I think I was like 7 or 8 years old on holiday, like on vacation in Wales. We'd always go to Wales because we weren't rich. We didn't have much money. It was drivable. It was by the sea. It was sunny. There was sand. You know, it was fun. And there was this little store where we were staying, and in the back there was one long box. And I found this long box, and that was it. I'd never seen half this stuff before. I mean, obviously I knew who Batman was and Spider-Man and Superman, all those, but who's Luke Cage? What's this about? Who's Power Man? What's Power Man about? So and being this country, it was raining for most of the vacation. So I bought a couple of comics and just sat and read them. Sat indoors reading them with it raining outside. And I wish I'd still got them, because one was the first appearance of Man-Bat in Detective Comics.
Oh my gosh.
And the second one was like issue 2 or 3 of Power Man and Iron Fist, Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, I know exactly what years those were. That was early 70s, early to mid 70s.
Well, it would have been but by the time they made it over here into someone's long box in the back of the store, it was 77, 78, something like that. They've been kicking around for a while. Yeah.
Good man. I can still feel the joy of when I was a kid and getting a stack of comics and nothing to do but sit and read them. I wish I could get that back. I wish I could have a stack of comics and feel good about it again. That
issue of Detective Comics, the Man-Bat one, I read that and reread that and reread that. And I kept every time I'd read through both of them, I'd read them both again. Then I'd turn to my mum and say, "Can we go back down to the? Have you got any money? Have some money? Have some money and take me back down there, please."
It's talking about that first Man-Bat. There was another detective comic right around that time. It was either Batman Family, Batman Detective. It was Batman. And since we're on the topic of vampires, it pitted Batman against a vampire, a recently turned one, but he'd been around long enough to be good at what he did. And he'd been a doctor, and Batman is like hunting this vampire through this old wooden rickety house, and
That's cool.
he takes a crossbow and he shoots a wooden arrow through the vampire's chest, because that's how you kill a vampire, is you put a wooden stake through its heart.
Yeah.
And the vampire doesn't die. And the whole thing is like, oh my God, how is he going to kill this vampire? First of all, Batman killing something in the first place was a change.
Yeah, it's a vampire, though. It's a vampire.
And the whole MacGuffin was that, the detective in him had to be paying attention to the environment, because the longer they thought, the louder the grandfather clock would tick. And the vampire had been a heart surgeon. And he had taken his heart out and hid it in the grandfather clock. He had to shoot the grandfather clock to put a stake through the heart of the vampire.
I need to look that up. I need to read that. That sounds awesome.
It was.
I need to read that after we finish this book, though, because I don't want to get influenced by anything.
I was like, I thought it was brilliant as a kid, and I was like, wait a second, if you take the heart out of the vampire, doesn't he die anyway? But I guess not. He's a vampire.
Maybe that's where J.K. Rowling got the whole Horcrux thing for Harry Potter.
Strictly by the rules, you didn't put a stake through the heart, so the heart's still there and beaten.
This is true. Does it work like that, though? It must do. It does now.
It does.
That's awesome. Yes. That's so clever. Yeah. That is clever. I like that.
Well,
yeah.
Are you looking, maybe not now in this issue, but if you're leaving the option open for more stories, do you think there'd be any other historical characters that would cross over into this world and work?
Oh, tons, yes.
And again, without going into the league extraordinary.
But it's not. Yeah, exactly. That's the difficult one. Or trying not to let it become Van Helsing. You remember Van Helsing, the movie and that was based on the graphic. And yes, try not to do that.
James, you're right. Red Rain is another one that was Batman versus Dracula.
Kelly Jones.
Yeah, it was a little bit later for me. By that time, I wasn't as enamored of that What If story, or that not What If. They were called Elseworlds at the time. But I think it was largely because I wasn't really a big fan of Kelly Jones' art at the time. I know, anathema. But
I know.
There were people at the time.
I grew to like it. Yeah, especially because he finished off Frankenstein for
Exactly. I mean, there were. I didn't like Mike Mignola when I first saw his stuff. And if you have a collection of Swamp Thing, there is an issue that has a letters page in it with my letter in it.
Oh, right.
Where I complained about this change that they'd done to Swamp Thing. I was very, very unhappy with this new guy, Alan Moore, and whatever it was he was doing. I was like, this is stupid. This is not what I wanted.
This noob. Who's this Alan Moore weirdo? Get rid of him. He's never going to amount to anything. Get rid of him.
Exactly. I was like, this is horrible. Bring back the original, Martin Pascoe stuff that was being done.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we used to get, because in 2000 AD, there'd be like every week, or was it weekly? Yeah, it was weekly. There'd be just a different artist doing Judge Dredd. Some weeks it'd be fantastic. Other weeks you'd be like, what the hell is this? But the stories were all there still. The story was still good. So that kind of, but there were, certain people. And back then I didn't pay attention to artists' names and stuff. I was just reading cool Judge Dredd stories and whatever. So, I never learned who to hate.
There you go. Yeah, I tell people, I grew up in Sparta, Illinois, central to the United States, and every comic book in the world was printed there. At least every comic book in North America, DC, Marvel, Playboy magazine. Yeah, they were all running off the same presses. And so there were no places to buy comics nearby because everybody took home the print overruns. If you knew somebody who worked at the plant, you just went to their house. But I was about 14, and I want to say it was Eagle.
Make a note of that. What are we on? Detective Comics 455 is that Batman story. Cool.
Oh, you found it. Somebody found
Wyatt found it.
Ah, thank you, Wyatt, because I'm going to make sure I've got it too.
Number 455. That is number one on my list of things to get now. Cool.
Got to find that one. But
right, sorry.
but at one point, I was like, Archie, DC, Marvel. That was comics. That's all the comics in the world that there ever were. And then one day I got, a stack from somebody who worked at the plant, and all of a sudden there was like PC and First and Eagle. And Eagle was reprinting the Judge Dredd stuff from 2000 AD. And I was like, holy amazeballs, this is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we used to get Eagle here, Eagle Eagle was, I can't remember which came first, whether it was Eagle or Dandare, or Dandare was an Eagle, and then it all combined with something else. Companies bought other companies, and publishers bought everything, and
I would sit there, I would read the ads with intensity, because I'm like, I just loved comics, period. And if it was a new comic, I wanted to have it. So, after I read, the Judge Dredd stuff, the Judge Anderson, DR and Quinch.
DR and Quinch, yeah, wow.
I was loving that stuff. But then I would look at the ads. I'm like, look at these comics that I can't get my hands on, like Ranzerox from like Italy. I'm like, I would love to get my hands on this gorgeously drawn thing that looks like it's kind of sexual too. But
well, I mean, look at the old Barbarella comics.
Oh, I do frequently.
yeah. I'd keep trying to get like the original collected versions of them, like the old collected, but they're too much, cost too much. Then again, I keep trying to get the oversized version of Wrightson's Frankenstein, but that's beyond my means. Completely. I do invest in what I can.
I didn't know they made an oversized Frankenstein. That's the Frankenstein Alive.
It's the folio version. I think it's called the portfolio version, and it's huge. It's fantastic. But I can't justify like $600 on it. Or more. It goes up and up. I was lucky enough was it last year? And the end of last year, I managed to get first editions. I was looking for a first edition of a near mint first edition of Wrightson's Frankenstein, and I found 3. One of them was at an online. It was the online branch of a charity, kind of like charity store, and it was only like, how much did I pay for it? £70. So that's what, $100. So I was like, really? That's all they want, and it's near mint? Is it? Is it really? Oh, yeah. So I got it, and it turned up. Yeah. So I ended up with 2 near mint copies and 1 very good copy.
There's some auction sites that just don't get a lot of play. People don't know they exist. We have Goodwill stores here in the States. I don't know if they've got them around the world or not. But it's
that's the kind of place that I got the Frankenstein from.
Yeah, you drop off the stuff that you don't want anymore. But recently, I say recently, 20 years ago. Wow. Tempus fugit.
Dude, I do that all the time.
But I had a friend who worked there, and one of his jobs at Goodwill was that they had a shopgoodwill.com. It was like eBay. And they would just put pictures up, and they would take bids on things. And he sent me, he's like, look what I got in the bin today. And it was beat up, but it was a copy of Fantastic Four #1. That just sitting there.
How long ago? I'm going to say it was a few years ago, but it's probably 20 years ago. I started volunteering every now and then in a place like that. My job was the stuff that came in, just to sort through it, throw out all the junk.
Yeah, because people just drop the trash there.
Oh, all kinds of nastiness. But every now and then there'd be a gem in there, and weirdly, graphic novels and stuff back then in these kind of stores just didn't sell. I don't think, because it's mostly old people that go in there at the time. Right. It used to be, so they didn't want to like Preacher or whatever, So yeah, I used to pick up all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, I even got one of the things I use very occasionally when I'm inking, very rarely now because I tend to use multi-liner pens. But I've got like 17th century quill set of nibs, and they're great. They're really good. But I'm terrified of bending one. Or they're quite sturdy, but just on the off chance that I wreck them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Which is a shame
I go
because
there for
they're
old
beautiful.
books. We have another store called Savers, which is very much the same thing. The proceeds go towards veterans, and I'll always go to the old book section because I'm always looking for back issues of The Destroyer, the old Remo Williams series, because I write that now, and I'm like, it's all tax write-off, it's research. And I went in there one day and I went to the same shelf where the Mac Bowl stuff shows up, and every once in a while I would find one, and I was like, oh, here's one, and I picked up. I was like, oh, there's 3 of them, and here's 5 more. And by the time it was done, my wife came around the corner. I had a cart. I'm like, somebody had an estate sale, and they had a whole collection. I picked up about 100 books in the Destroyer series that day. I was like, I don't care what it costs. They were like $2 a piece, I think, or $1.50. We're buying this separate so that I can keep the receipt, and it's just going to be send it to our tax guy. Call it a write-off. Wyatt's got a new book coming up too here soon that I want to get you on to talk about that, Wyatt. Heroin adventure.
Yeah, we do. We do like some pulp fiction, kind of, not pulp fiction as in the movie. I mean, the proper definition of pulp fiction.
Yes.
We do like the sexy ladies, the pretty ladies in peril and things like that, and
now
shooting ray guns and.
You just said we, so you're involved in that book too, or I thought that might be Wyatt on his own.
No, but we do. We both, me and Wyatt. That's how Rocket Girl came about. we've got other stuff planned. Myself and Wyatt share a lot of common interests. And
I had to quote tweet it. I had to quote tweet it to Heroinberg in Twitter because I knew it would be right up his alley. Heroinberg doing his own Heroinberg comic that's very much the same thing. It's heroines in adventures. So,
fantastic. Yeah. I wish I had time to paint again, because I used to enjoy painting like pin-ups and things like that. Ladies, pretty ladies.
Well, maybe there will be a painting of a buxom vampire prostitute as an add-on for Jack the Ripper.
Who knows? Vampire. Who knows? Well, find the time. I don't know, but yeah.
There's got to be something more than just the book, right? That's how Indiegogo works.
This is true.
All kinds of stuff.
This is true. This is very true. With all this has been discussed at the moment.
Well, one of the things that I hope you guys consider is how Indiegogo has now done the whole add-on structure of things.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to blaze the trail, for God's sake, please. Campaigns would be a lot simpler. It's pretty much like the tier. Here's our featured tier. It's like the gift basket of stuff. After that, here's the book. Yeah, that's all you need, because everything else is in add-ons now.
That's just true. I think someone tried. Did someone try that? I'm sure someone tried that. Well, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, it's a good idea. All they need to do now is for you to be able to add, once you've made your purchase, or once you've backed whatever you want to be able to go back and say, right, I want this as well. Can you add it to my order?
Yeah, that's what they do.
So you can go back after your initial purchase.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. Just like charge me the extra.
I haven't seen that yet. That would be nice because, it would be another purchase because you've already paid for that. So you're going to pay for it again anyway. But what you're saying is it becomes a separate order on the fulfillment sheet.
Yeah. So it goes in, and your shipping to cover it all. Maybe the shipping might have to go up if you order something huge or whatever. But I'm sure there's a way they could do it. I'm sure it would work. It's
almost like you need to talk to somebody who's consulted with people on their shipping and fulfillment, Peter.
This is true. Yeah.
Let me get somebody for you here. Hi, I'm back.
Wow. You see, now you need to have a hat or something down by the side.
Yes, I do. This is the exact thing that we just did for Florida Man. Because yeah. So they the folks at Florida Man, they sent us their spreadsheets, and I did my day job, my IT computer database structure stuff, broke down all the CSVs into like this tower of name and item, And then I said, okay, now back up again and be name and all the items across. And I printed out packing lists. So even if they did order this and then this, it was like name and address.
Fun.
Here's my stuff. So they got it all in one box.
Now that makes sense. Well, look, if Indiegogo aren't going to do it, you might as well. You might as well.
I might as well.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to do some shipping. These are bags that perfectly fit around.
Embrace. Yeah.
These perfectly fit your Gemini mailer, by the way. So they will keep them dry when the postman leaves them in the rain. Also got the ones ready for Red Eyes. These are the first 2 that we're getting ready to ship out with our logistics company.
That's cool.
And the next one I can't wait to get is the Company Man. I don't know if you've seen that one around.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we're shipping that. He was one of the first people to sign up with us because we ran the numbers through with him. He said it made sense, and that's why it's shipping from Australia for $10 instead of $25. And the whole goal was to help campaigns be more appealing to the American audience, because so many people back out when the shipping's too high. It's a lost sale.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, your book's going to be printed in the States, I'm guessing. I mean, everybody else is over here to publish it, or are you going to?
Mandy's dealing with all that.
Yeah. So you guys don't have to worry about that. But for people who are overseas that want to get cheaper shipping and more American dollars sent their way, find me. I'm not that hard. Anyway, see, this is where I become a little bit of a vampire on your stream. Suck away some of that money.
You carry on. That's fine.
But we have crossed the hour mark here, and this is normally where we try to wrap things up. And it's 2 a.m. now for you, so I'm going to be merciful.
It certainly is.
You are not a vampire. You did not stay up all night. So.
Oh no, I've got work to do.
So you sleep during the day. So.
Yeah, I roll out of bed at 3 in the afternoon. I tell my friends that, and they're like, "You lazy." It's like, well, I don't get to bed till 8 in the morning.
You've got to work with your partners, and they're all up at a different hour. So
plus it's easier to concentrate at night. It gets noisy in the daytime around here.
I find the same is true for me. I used to do my best writing at like 11, 12 o'clock at night when everyone's in bed.
Well, they do say that's when the brain is the most creative. There was a study that they kind of looked into this because they were wondering how all the best writers were night owls or complete drunks or whatever.
Yes,
and it's the same. It's apparently the same effect on the brain. Getting blind drunk or staying up until crazy o'clock and doing your best work in the middle of the night.
You're so close to dreaming that you're already tapping that vein of stuff, I guess.
Exactly.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for bringing Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter over here. Would love to have you guys back post-launch. When
absolutely,
we can have some more tears to walk through.
Yeah, and some more to tell you about the book. More stories.
Yes. Yes. We'll see who spills more tea on what parts of the plot. So. Everyone in the chat, appreciate you being here. We don't have a show without you, so we're glad you're here. Please do share the link out for the video, not for me. This is for our guests. Get this word spread out for more people to find Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.